What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the Turnbuckle Topics podcast. I'm your host, Pat Deneen, and this is my preview ahead of tonight's episode of Monday Night Raw taking place. It is now the quarterfinals for both the King of the Ring and the Queen of the Ring tournament, so we're going to go over all four matches set to take place, who I personally see coming out with the victory. But before that, we're going to talk about this past weekend, a whole lot to catch up on at both of the house shows, Saturday night in Chattanooga, Tennessee, and Sunday night in Macon, Georgia, where we found out the final winners of this first round for both tournaments. We had a men's and a women's match on Saturday, a men's and a women's match on Sunday, and so we're going to talk about all that, and yet again, how this WWE injury bug has come around, specifically affecting this tournament. This is the third person on Monday Night Raw that had to bow out of the tournament, and we found out on social media Sunday afternoon via Raw GM Adam Pearce that not only was Drew McIntyre and Asuka removed from this last Monday, but Zelina Vega, the Queen's Crown winner in 2021, had to step aside. We found out that she was not medically cleared in her matchup to take place Sunday night versus Shayna Baszler, so she was replaced by Maxine Dupree. Zelina Vega went on social media and retweeted this breaking news from Adam Pearce on Sunday and wrote that she is heartbroken being the first ever Queen's Crown winner. She said, "That being said, I'm super grateful to have a history-making moment in the WWE history books. The 8-year-old me is still super proud." Then she added Shayna Baszler on Twitter, "This ain't over. You can be Queen of Spades. Keep playing them cards. I'll forever be the first ever WWE Queen of the Ring." And so that was some very unfortunate news, but let's get over to the Saturday night side of things, shall we? That was the SmackDown house show that took place, where we would see two first-round matchups, the final two first-round matchups of the King and the Queen of the Ring tournament. Let's start off with the men's, right? We had LA Knight going one-on-one with Santos Escobar. As I said in the previous episodes, it would be really nice for Santos Escobar to get the victory here. Really could use a win, but of course the fan favorite. He's been hotter than ever, on fire the last, 12 to 15 months. LA Knight, the megastar, got the victory, so LA Knight goes on and advances in this tournament. And then as far as the women's side of things went on Saturday night in Chattanooga, Tennessee, we had Tiffany Stratton going up against Mia Yim, or Mishin as she goes by now. And of course, Tiffany Stratton got the victory here as well. So two major fan favorites got the wins. We all kind of saw this happening. And so they'll both go on and advance into the quarterfinals. Now, as far as Tiffany Stratton is concerned, she will face the EST of WWE, Bianca Belair, in the next round. And as far as LA Knight is concerned, he will be going one-on-one with, it looks like, Tama Tonga of the Bloodline. So that's going to be incredibly interesting to see those two go at it. The other match that will be taking place in the quarterfinals for SmackDown for the men is Randy Orton versus Carmelo Hayes. That's going to be great. And let's see, for the rest of the women's side of things, the other match that's set to take place for their quarterfinals, other than Tiffany Stratton versus Bianca Belair, is Nia Jax versus Jade Cargill. So that is the entirety of who is left for SmackDown, and it's really heating up. It's looking pretty good. Now let's get over to the Macon, Georgia side of things. Actually, before I get to that, somebody tweeted to LA Knight the other day, or just yesterday, that, he wrote, "Congrats to both winners." He goes, "What a shame that the two most popular names in each tournament were delegated to house show advancement to appease Chattanooga. We wanted TV matches." So LA Knight retweeted that and said, "I appreciate everyone saying this match should have been on TV, but no need to throw live event crowds under the bus. Live events are where the WWE roster has as much fun as possible. Not only having a great match, but a match with huge stakes, making live events more fun." So he couldn't be more right about that. It's very accurate. The non-televised shows tend to be more fun. It lets these wrestlers, whether they're babyface, heel, whatever, tweeners, be more of themselves. More fan interaction prior to the match, certainly post-match, whether it's signing autographs, taking pictures, having a little bit of extra fun on the microphone. Sometimes they call fans into the ring for certain segments just to have certain moments. So that couldn't be more true. And I agree. I agree with LA Knight. It would have been nice to see these matches on television, sure, but we all kind of knew who was coming out of these matches, regardless of how good the in-ring work was going to be with a Tiffany Stratton versus Mishin, or LA Knight versus Santos Escobar. Yeah, that'd be great and all, but, let the house show fans in attendance enjoy a good match with some major stakes on the line for sure here. King of the Ring, Queen of the Ring tournament. And so I think that's okay. I have no problem with that. And so, again, LA Knight, Tiffany Stratton advanced. Now let's get over to the Monday Night Raw side of things, where we went to Macon, Georgia on Sunday night, the next night, and we had two big matchups over there. We had Kofi Kingston going one-on-one with Rey Mysterio, and we had Shayna Baszler going up against Maxine Dupree. Again, Maxine Dupree replacing the injured Zelina Vega. Now, I was a little surprised with the men's match. I did think Rey Mysterio was going to get the win here. However, it was Kofi Kingston. Again, both veterans in the game, tons of accolades. So either or was fine with me. So Kofi Kingston got the victory there. And as far as Shayna Baszler versus Maxine Dupree, need I really tell you who won this one? I mean, even with Zelina Vega in this match, who I really like and enjoy, I think hands down we all kind of knew Shayna Baszler was the one who was going to come out with the victory here. And so that's exactly what took place. I saw a brief clip where it looked like Maxine Dupree was on the top rope, hitting Shayna Baszler with a pretty nice-looking crossbody. Got to give her that. But that was reversed real quick into the Kirifuda clutch, and that was it. Tapped out. Shayna got the victory. And so your two winners from the house show Macon, Georgia, Sunday night, both Kofi Kingston and Shayna Baszler. So now that the first round is finally finished, it's all complete. We're headed to the quarterfinals starting tonight on Monday Night Raw. We have Gunther, the Ring General, going up against Kofi Kingston. That's going to be some match for sure. There's a lot of history with the New Day and Imperium in the recent past. And the other men's quarterfinal matchup that should be very fun to watch is Ilya Dragunov going one-on-one with main event Jey Uso. As far as the women's side of things are concerned for Monday Night Raw, we now have Shayna Baszler going up against Io Sky. And the other women's quarterfinal match, we have Lyra Valkyria going up against Zoe Stark. All four of those matches, I'm pretty sure they're set to take place tonight. So we have a lot to look forward to. Now, it looked like they were having a lot of fun on Sunday night, which was Mother's Day. Happy Mother's Day to all you out there. And it looked like Jade Cargill got a victory. Seems like she's on quite the run herself in singles. In tag team action, she had her first successful singles match the other night against Piper Niven. This Friday, she'll be going up against Nia Jax in the quarterfinals. So post-match, she brought her daughter into the ring, her daughter Bayley, and she hoisted her up on her shoulder, holding up her daughter was holding up the Women's Tag Team Championship belt. And from one Bayley to another, the WWE Women's Champion Bayley was also in the ring. They shared a brief moment where Bayley hugged Jade and her daughter, and so that was really sweet to see. Also having a great time. It seemed like R-Truth was a little confused, per usual, but he's fantastic. He's always great television whenever he is on. And when A-Town Down Under were making their entrance, you know, the SmackDown Tag Team Champions, Grayson Waller and Austin Theory, R-Truth was actually behind Austin Theory. And when he turned around, he said, "You're not The Miz. You know, you're not my tag team partner." Grayson Waller, Austin Theory, really getting on R-Truth's case. The Miz made his way out and told Truth, "I'm right here. You know, you don't have a match right now. We already had a match, a successful title defense." And so that was funny to see. It looked like they were going up against, looked like A-Town Down Under was going up against the newest tag team to join SmackDown in DIY's Johnny Gargano and Tommaso Ciampa, who R-Truth just moments later, him and Miz would see backstage while they were making their way out of Gorilla. And, of course, as R-Truth has said for months, he said, "Look, it's the Heartbreak Kid, Shawn Michaels," referring to Gargano, and the Cerebral Assassin, Triple H, referring to Tommaso Ciampa. R-Truth is just absurd. He's funny, though. He always makes things good, always keeps it light. And so, again, it looked like they had a great time last night in Macon, Georgia, for this house show, this Mother's Day special here. And so what do you say we get to some predictions for tonight's matchups? The 4 matches. This is the quarterfinals, 2 for the men's, 2 for the women's side of things. And let's start off with the women. Ladies first. Let's start off with Lyra Valkyria versus Zoe Stark. Now, this is a little difficult for me, and I'm going to tell you why. I easily could see Shayna Baszler going one-on-one with Zoe Stark in the semifinals tag team partner. It's much like a lot of people think we could see Jade Cargill and Bianca Belair in a similar situation on SmackDown come Friday. Again, tag team going head-to-head, specifically for them, the women's tag team champions. However, as much as I thought that could be a possibility, I'm going to lean more towards Lyra Valkyria in this one here. I think Lyra Valkyria has another successful start to her Raw debut was last week, getting a nice win over, Dakota Kai, who replaced Asuka. And I think she's going to go 2-0 on her start for Monday Night Raw. I think Lyra Valkyria gets the win over Zoe Stark. And in the other women's match, Damage Control's Io Sky going one-on-one with Shayna Baszler. And so again, as easily as we could have seen that tag team duo of Shayna versus Zoe in the semifinals, I don't think that's going to be the case on either side here, because I think Io Sky will get the win over Shayna Baszler. And so pretty much with that being said, see next round in the semifinals, Io Sky versus Lyra Valkyria in a fantastic match. I'm not going to give you my prediction. Well, I'm not 1,000% on this yet, but I could easily see them putting Io Sky in the final at the Queen of the Ring, representing Monday Night Raw's women's division for sure. Lyra Valkyria, obviously, it's hard to bet against her too, and that's why I'm going with her tonight to get the win. But I don't think she'll be the representative for Raw just yet. I think they'll give it to Io Sky, the former WWE Women's Champion, and so I'm leaning towards her right now. But definitely Io and Lyra coming out of tonight with the win. Now let's get to the men here. We have main event Jey Uso versus the Mad Dragon, Ilya Dragunov. Speaking of a former NXT champion, much like Lyra Valkyria was last month, going into Stand and Deliver. This is, as much as I like to go with Jey Uso, this is pretty obvious to me. I think that Ilya Dragunov, for a couple of reasons, is going to get the win. Again, much like Lyra, getting that good momentum as the new draftee to Monday Night Raw, starting off 2-0, or actually, he'd be 3-0 right on Raw, because the Raw after WrestleMania, he surprised us all and just made an appearance before being drafted to the Red Brand, going up against the likes of Shinsuke Nakamura that Monday at the Wells Fargo Center in Philadelphia. So he got the win against Nakamura a month ago. He got the win last week against Ricochet, which was a very, very good match. And I think this should be a pretty good one too. But Dragunov with the win here. Definitely see him going to the semifinal. And as far as Kofi Kingston is concerned against Gunther, simply put, got to go with Gunther. I think we get Dragunov Gunther. I think that's going to be we know that's going to be an outstanding semifinal. There's a good argument, good case to be made for either one of them to go to the finals in Saudi on the 25th. Leaning towards Gunther, much like I'm leaning towards Io for Monday Night Raw for the women's division. Definitely leaning towards Gunther, especially coming off that nearly 2-year reign as Intercontinental Champion, right? So if I was a betting man, I'd go with Io and Gunther making it out of the Raw side of things. But at minimum, Dragunov and Gunther getting the win tonight. And back to the Dragunov match, Jey Uso, a lot of us want to cheer for him. Hope he does well. He's had a pretty solid run in singles, even though he hasn't captured singles gold. He was the replacement, right? He was the replacement for Drew McIntyre last week when we found out he wasn't medically cleared. So at the end of the day, as much as we want Jey Uso to win, he's a replacement. It gets very intriguing, and I wonder what would have happened if it was Drew McIntyre versus Dragunov. Not only would that have been a better match, but it would have been really interesting to see who was going to come out with the win there. So real quickly, let's take it back to 5 years ago to this very day. May 13th, 2019 was the debut of none other than The Fiend on WWE TV. I can't believe it's been 5 years. To be honest with you guys, I can't believe this August is already a year since we unfortunately lost Bray Wyatt. So damn, those first Firefly Funhouse vignettes we saw, right? It looked like Bray Wyatt was in there doing his whole Mr. Rogers bit with the red vest, sweater vest, and then coming in as The Fiend. And, there's a lot of, for understood reasons, mixed feelings about how we felt about the Fiend character. I personally, my favorite Bray Wyatt is the leader of the Wyatt family, Bray Wyatt. That was my favorite. But there was nothing wrong with this. I thought the Fiend was very creative, very interesting. They limited him in a lot of ways. They also booked him very poorly as the Fiend, losing his first title reign to Goldberg. Need I say more, in Saudi Arabia, I believe it was. So that was very unfortunate how he was mishandled numerous times in his career, even prior to being the Fiend. But 5 years ago, to the day that we found out that the Fiend was on TV and Bray Wyatt did in fact return. Speaking of the Fiend, who was an integral part of that bit, Alexa Bliss, she tweeted, early morning? Monday morning, she tweeted, "Just you wait," with a heart emoji. And so a lot of fans are wondering, Are you returning sometime soon? Will we see you back with the WWE, which I assume that this is in regards to WWE? I mean, it is Monday, right? This is when she tweeted it. Now, could she be making her way to Monday Night Raw? Possibly Friday Night SmackDown? We soon shall see. Will she have anything to do with this whole new Uncle Howdy, right? This Wyatt Stable-esque thing. I don't think she will. The last couple of weeks it said the female component of that group looks like it's going to be Nikki Cross, and she may come back as just, her goddess gimmick, Alexa Bliss, which, to be honest with you guys, I'm fine either way. If Strowman, Alexa Bliss, they're not involved with this new bit. If it's only Eric Rowan, Nikki Cross, possibly Joe Gacy, Dexter Lumis, and stuff like that, I'm okay with that. It gives all of them something to do, which they all desperately need, and letting Bo Dallas be the leader of this. Again, another guy who is highly underutilized and misused on the main roster many moons ago. Had a great NXT run, former NXT champion, and I think all he did was, the B team with Curtis Axel. The only time he had any tag team, any gold really, but they were the tag team champions on Raw, I believe, 5-6 years ago. They were with the Miz Taraj and stuff like that for a little bit. So, hey, we'll see what happens with Alexa Bliss. Can't wait to see her back, as well as Carmella, as well as Sonya Deville. So many injuries again. The list just goes on and on, namely for the women as well. So let's wrap up here with some Friday Night SmackDown news. Now, SmackDown, they're moving to the USA Network 4 months from today, September 13th. They're making its way over to USA after nearly a 5-year deal with Fox. Now, originally, they were supposed to make it exactly 5 years and move over in October from Fox to USA. SmackDown debuted on Fox October 4th, 2019. Also, when Brock Lesnar squashed Kofi in a matter of seconds, we were all outraged after months of excitement and jubilation and some quality title defenses for Kofi Kingston, the whole Kofi Mania, WrestleMania 35 bit. It was over in a matter of seconds. That was absurd. Anyway, I've pretty much enjoyed SmackDown besides that on Fox the last several years, but the reason that they're moving from Fox to USA so abruptly, and it's not going to be October and it's going to be September 13th, is due to the fact that Fox wanted to move SmackDown over to FS1 for the remaining 3-4 episodes that they had left contractually due to the fact they had college football to put on Fox and so on. So that's why they're leaving. They were able to make it work with USA. Obviously, they have a very good long-standing relationship with USA. Monday Night Raw has been on there for eons, on and off throughout the last couple of decades. Of course, Raw's moving to Netflix come January. NXT, that's currently on USA and has been on USA for quite a few years, is moving to the CW in the fall. However, you still will see WWE programming on the USA Network via Friday Night SmackDown. I believe it's still going to be at 8 p.m. on Fridays, so there you have it. SmackDown is moving to USA instead of October, 4 months from today on September the 13th. And so that just about does it for me here. I want to thank each and every one of you for tuning in yet again to the Turnbuckle Topics podcast. I am your host, Pat Deneen. This is my preview mainly for Monday Night Raw tonight. Certainly, yet again, as I have been the past week, going over King of the Ring, Queen of the Ring, giving you updates as often as possible. Gave you the entirety of the results for the first round. We're jumping into the quarterfinals tonight. See who wins in those 4 matchups. Full steam ahead to this Friday to SmackDown. Find out who are in the semifinals. And a week from Saturday, we have the King of the Ring, Queen of the Ring in Saudi Arabia, May 25th. And really looking forward to that whole tournament and see who will be crowned King and Queen of the Ring. As always, I appreciate you guys. I'll catch you next time. Thanks for listening.